everybody okay? I feel like we should be all feel this energy and love and come forward. Incredible. Such a pleasure. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an incredible pleasure to be here this afternoon. It is the second day, and it's been an awe-inspiring, experience. My name is Lala Tuku. I am the head of content at the SABC. But when you see me, I am a multi-hyphenated creative industry practitioner. Call me that. Multi-hyphenated. And today we are going to have a discussion. I am so honored to be sitting here with the both of you, and I'm sure my audiences will, say the same. And we can't wait to talk to you. We are celebrating excellence and the significance of music awards showcasing African talent. The will to win, the desire to succeed, and the urge to reach your full potential, these are the keys that unlock the door to personal excellence. And I can safely say the people that are sitting here today have reached that personal excellence. So music has the power to connect us. Music fundamentally, when people, I think there was a lady sitting here earlier, Nana, saying that there are no words in this time and place. What are those words that describe certain things? And then music is that. And so today we're going to speak about the awards of music and what they have the capacity to do and the ability to do. I am sitting here while we celebrate excellence with Grammy Award winner, Mr. Wouter Kellerman. I've had the pleasure of working with him, winning flutist, composer, and producer. You are renowned flutist, composer, Wouter Kellerman, and you hold a 2015 Grammy for your album Winds of Samsara. With Ricky J, Love Language, your 2015 album soared to the top of the world music Billboard charts. Can I rub off? Your latest Symphonic Soweto pays homage to Nelson Mandela through captivating collaborations with the Soweto Gospel Choir and more. With 7 summers, global performances, including Carnegie, Hall of Fame, FIFA World Cup, everywhere. When we just turn our screens, it's Wouter Kellerman performing here, there. Your music bridges cultures and genres. It's committed to philanthropy, empowers youth through an SOS children's village, and your music benevolence inspires worldwide. It is such a pleasure and good afternoon, and I can't wait to have a conversation with you.
Thank you.
Hloni, Modise, Matau. I don't know if you know, guys, what Matau means. I'm going to let her explain that to us. She is the CEO, and she is also the founder of Basadi in Music Awards. So Hloni, I love this in her profile, a devoted wife and mother. I was like, you go, girl. She is the CEO, as said, of and founder of Basadi in Music Awards and the MD of HM Entertainment. She's been in the music industry for years. And earlier, when Zakes was saying, there are teams, there are people behind brands. I think Hloni sitting here is that exactly. In the music industry, she's had diverse roles at Sony Music, Heta Records. Hloni's entrepreneurial journey led to founding HM and the acclaimed Basadi Awards. A PR, marketing, and business management specialist. She managed legendary awards such as, for the Summers, and I'll let you tell us more about that. Good afternoon to you and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'd like to start the conversation here, and I'll pose this question to the both of you. Why are music awards important in recognizing and celebrating African musicians and their contribution to the global music scene?
Yeah, I think a music award fulfills a human need to compete and to excel, as you were saying, and to perform. And I think music awards make it possible for people to put themselves on a level and see where they are in the music industry. And it brings with it a lot of exposure, which, for example, the Grammys, if you win a Grammy, you get a huge amount of exposure. So if you're able to have some Grammy success or other success like America's Got Talent, we've seen that with the Ndlovu Youth Choir, that success that they reached because of those awards actually was a life-changing event for Ndlovu, because when we met the Ndlovu Youth Choir, they were a very small choir, they had very little work, and we really tried to push them and help them. And I recorded a song with them to try and broadcast their talent, and America's Got Talent then saw the song and reached out to them and invited them, and that was the big moment that started their international career. So the exposure that big awards can bring, especially for diverse musicians, is just mind-blowing and could be life-changing. And we've seen in awards like the Grammys or America's Got Talent that there's a tendency, the world has recognized the need and the beauty of diverse and interesting music from abroad. Yes, so I think it's really super important and plays a huge role.
Hloni?
So, does this work? Okay.
Yes.
I think the recognition, number one. I've been in the industry for a long time, and I know when someone says, I see you, what that can do for one. So yes, it's not everybody that's gonna get an award, but that's just that nomination gives one that validation that they might need, that I'm on the right path. With the Basadi Music Awards, what I've seen was that I got a lot of calls from people who are in different categories and phoning and saying that I've been a journalist for X amount of years, and never in my entire life did I ever think I'd get nominated for any award. And that has changed my life. That has transformed my life. And I think this is why award ceremonies are important. I think you get validation. With that comes awareness, because we didn't know that there was Masiho. Other people didn't know that there was a Masiho from SMAG. But today they know that there's a Masiho from SMAG. And from that can come up a lot of more opportunities that she's going to get exposed to. So like he's saying, the validation, I think that's the big one for me. And the opportunities that come with just what these award ceremonies present.
Maybe let me latch on to that and talk about the opportunities. Has winning a Grammy changed your life?
Yes, absolutely. It has changed, but I also know some musicians who've won a Grammy and nothing has happened. So basically, winning a Grammy is not guaranteeing anything. It is just another tool in your hustling world. So you still have to hustle, but now that tool is a very powerful tool. So if you're just going to sit back and say, well, now I won a Grammy, and nobody will know, you have to tell the world, and you have to leverage, use that leverage, and then it can be, and like in my case, it's been a very, very big influence, and it's over years it has changed my career path and diverted and made it possible for me to go to higher and higher levels.
Again, I'm going to latch on higher and higher levels. I do believe that recognition, almost like in the corporate world, when you're being recognized for something, it does change, and it should, in my take, change how it is that you are seen. I want to talk about pay, in terms of what are the conversations that we're having when we now don't say vote, we say award-winning or Grammy. What does that actually do to a career?
Yes, like Zake said, the day before the Grammys, he says, or the day of the Grammys, he says, yesterday's price is not today's price. So my price has definitely, after the first Grammy, I didn't even have to do it, but I was just being offered more money. And the same thing happened after the second Grammy. So definitely, that recognition, because you make this music that is valuable, but nobody knows about it. And the awards will now tell people that it is worth something, and people see you in a different light. And then when you perform, if a corporate can say, okay, we have Grammy Award-winning musician, this and this coming, then it adds a kind of a brand to your name that really pushes you up.
If we have to bring it back home, we've got a number of music awards. We've got the Summers, we've got the Music Awards. Why did you start the awards that you have started? Maybe you can just break it down for us.
Okay. So, Basadi Music Awards is an idea that I came up with a long time ago. So I've got a little box, I call it the magic box idea. So every time I have an idea, I throw it in that box. So when COVID hit, we had to look at how we can, morale was low. I am blessed to work with a lot of people in the music space, and a lot of them happen to be females. And, I picked up morale was very low, and I needed to do something that's going to uplift the females and to also say there's a big gap in our industry where females, we're still a little behind. It's just like we need to create a platform that is going to open up and broaden up the horizons for females within the space. Hence, then Basadi Music Awards was born. And when Basadi Music Awards was born, we wanted to be more than just an award ceremony that just honors musicians. It has to also look at females that work behind the scenes, your journalists, your stylists, your producers. And the reason why we did that, because we want to also acknowledge and say, we see you, and we appreciate your work, and to give those ladies that work behind the scenes, to give them a platform for them to also shine, because the music industry is very vast. There's different practitioners within the music space. So we want to celebrate those different individuals and to show the kids that are wanting to come into the space and thinking if you just want to be in the industry, all you can be is just a musician, which is not necessarily the truth. So it was important that we have an award ceremony that covers all of that, so that when we're saying we're celebrating Basadi in music, we're not just saying Basadi who sing, because then we could have called it Basadi who sing. But we said Basadi in music because we wanted it to encompass all of that.
I must congratulate you for that. I really must congratulate you for that. I think there's still so much work that needs to be done in terms of positioning women in the creative space. I think there's still so much work, intentional work, and I think that's what your awards do in terms of putting a spotlight on Basadi. So Basadi is women, and what caught my eye is that you're saying that not only are we going to focus on the forefront, which is what we see, but really what does it take to create an industry?
Yes.
And and how many years are you in?
This is year 2. We just did our year 2 on the 12th of August. I had asked for a small video to be played, if it's okay with you. Pule, is it fine? The first video, just to give you an idea in terms of what that whole thing means, if it does play. But this is year 2, and yes, it's like, if it does play.
It will play, so
Yes,
we'll let them. I don't know.
well, hey?
Oh.
Just what? Oh, Pule will show you. But I think we can continue until, But it is our year 2. We started last year. We launched on International Women's Day. And I think it's important that I mention that when we launched, we had nothing. And how it started really was just, friends. Leslie Mofokeng is a good friend of mine, and he's a writer, so he can write all the press releases, most. And then I've got a friend who's an event organizer, most. They can organize events, most. And then I've got a friend who's a graphic designer. They can design a logo, most. We've got Manaileng there, who's a legal boss, I call her. But then that's how it really started, where I said, everybody, we have a production meeting with zero in a bank. And we said, we have Basadi Music Awards. We need to start by designing a logo. And then from the logo, we need to design a presentation, and we need to have a look and feel. And then from the look and feel, we have to have now a calendar of where we're going. And then we launched last year on the 8th of March, and today we are here.
That is really incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
really inspired by, there's a gentleman there at the back, he's wearing a grey jacket. When you said that, everyone clapped and he was like, yes. And for me, I think when women in spaces begin things, what we really need are advocates. And we find that in men, people who will speak for us when the doors are closed, people who will send the elevator down, people who will create that space. So I'm really, my heart was warm when I saw everyone clapping, but that like, yay. So we really do wish you well, because I
Thank you
think
so much.
for the African child and for them to see what is possible, access is always a thing. And what do they have access to? So even when I was a young actress coming in, we think it's about the acting. Meanwhile, the industry is so really there's an information, there's an education component to awards. Do you think there is a trend shifting, and particularly in terms of culture? You know, when we see that there's a lot of international focus on Africa. Do awards package our culture? Do they show, do they profile? What do awards do?
Yes, well, in the Grammy Awards specifically, we've seen a shift in diversity in general. It's kind of started with the Oscar, what happened over the years, just to explain the Oscar and the Grammy structure. There's 12,000 in the Grammys. There's 12,000 voting members. These are people, artists. They are musicians, producers, engineers. They're all creatives, and so they vote, and they're mostly based in the US. So and they vote on about 22,000 entries every year. So, but what has happened in the Oscars and also in the Grammys is over the years, the people who became Grammy voting, you have to pass a certain level of expertise, but then they stay at Grammy voting. And those were the traditional people, and they stopped making music, but they were still Grammy voting. So over the last 5 years, the Recording Academy started getting rid of some of those people and bringing more new people in. And now the representation of women and of diverse is higher. And this year, for the first time, they have a new category called Best African Music Performance. So this is the first time in Grammy history that we'll have the word African in a category name. And earlier this year, we received the CEO and the president of the Grammys here, and they came to check what they want to do is start an African Grammys, because there's so much richness here.
Wow.
And so now, this year we'll have one category for all African music, which is going to be tight. So what they want to is have an Amapiano category, Afrobeat category, and so forth. So they're starting that process. It'll probably take a few years, because they do have the Latin Grammys already.
Okay.
So that's been in existence for decades. So now they want to do the same. So we do find the African music is, the world is discovering Africa's richness, and they are hungry for it. Because I only discovered after many years of living here, when I started traveling, did I realize the richness that I just took for granted here is just incredible. And when we started traveling and performing it overseas, people loved it. And it's as if we have thousands of years in our past, we have a deep connection, and suddenly from Africa comes to the US or Europe, this musician that touches something that you can't explain, and they're discovering this. So I see a very, very bright future for Africa.
Do you want to add?
So, one of the things that I wanted us to achieve from Basadi Music Awards was that we break the barriers, we open up doors, because what I see this as, it's a platform that's supposed to open up doors. For me, yes, the glitz and glam are fabulous. Guys, we all wear our evening dresses, we look amazing, great. However, what opportunities are we creating? So that, motivated me to start conversations with different parts of Africa. So this year, I was intentional about opening it up to Africa. with the team. Then the team was like, how are we gonna do it? I was like, guys, we have to incorporate Africa. We have to incorporate Africa. And it was like, okay, but we don't have money to do it. How are we gonna do it? And I was like, guys, we have to do it. We have to do it. And it just came, with an easy thing to say, okay, we're gonna start something, and where we're gonna save the Basadi in music in Africa. And then we are just going to honor different ladies from different spaces. That's how we open it up. And then we had Sefa from Ghana. We had Ira Star from Nigeria. We had Mposi Bina from Botswana. We had Malay from Lesotho. We honored Berita from Zimbabwe. And then we gave the Lifetime Achievement Recipient Award to Mam Angelique Kijo as well. So the reason there is that we open up the spaces. But what was interesting for me is that people are willing to have conversations with us. So it's not that thing of, you have to sell so hard. It's like they're almost like waiting for us to come to them to say, this is the idea that we have, and they want to see how can we collaborate. So there's appetite from the world because they want to collaborate with Africa. And we're still very early on. I think the universe works in funny ways, guys, because the two things that I spoke about this year was, one, the Africa situation, and two was the Grammys, right? And the original plan was that I had wanted the Artist of the Year to win a trip to the Grammys, right? So, but the universe just brought everything together, and we spoke. It didn't happen. Because the conversations didn't get to where they needed to get to, but look at where I'm sitting. I'm sitting with the, do you understand what I'm trying to say? I'm sitting with the Grammy Award-winning artist. But to show that it is possible, it can happen. But the people from overseas are saying, oh, wow, there's an award ceremony that's looking at women. Oh, this is amazing. We want to be a part of this. How can we be a part of it? So there is appetite. There is... people are looking at us as it's different, where we just needed to look at what people are doing outside as them being trendsetters. The tables have turned. We are now trendsetters. People are looking into Africa and saying, what are they doing? Which is now a big space for us to be in. Yeah.
Has that made us as Africans take ourselves more seriously? Because I think the world has looked on as we became the culture curators because of our diversity, because of our culture. But do they find a space that's ready?
I think so. We've always had the richness. We've always had the art. We've got the incredible musicians. But what we haven't done well in the past is promoting it and doing the business side, bringing the business side of music. Which Hollywood and the Americans have done so well. So that's where I see our growth, but that is definitely had exponential growth in the last few years, and I just see it continuing to grow like that.
That's incredible. And I mean, earlier you were saying that, the Grammys may come to Africa. In fact, there are plans that they come. Would anyone from Africa be leading that, or is someone else coming to take the spot in Africa?
Yes, we had all these discussions with Harvey Mason, the CEO, and Panos Panay, the president, and the Panos Panay, the president of the Grammys, used to be a booking agent for Ladysmith Black Mambazo. So they are very, very, he has a deep understanding of South African and African music, and they are putting together a leadership team that will combine the Recording Academy and local leaders, and that will make it happen.
I'm going to open it up to the audiences. I'm just wary of time. It is 5 to 4. We had Zakes earlier here whose answers were monologues. So now we are going to wrap it up. But I just wanted to, before I open it up so that at least it's that kind of conversation, what role do audiences, consumers of music have to play in terms of really the significance of the award ceremonies?
I mean, without the audiences, there isn't really much. I take the audience, take the audience as a very serious stakeholder, because we get feedback from them to say, are we on the right path? We get feedback from them to say, whatever you're producing, we can't consume, we don't like it, But more than anything else, I think it's the appreciation. I mean, like, for example, Basadi Music Awards is voted for award ceremony. So for it to be a success, the audience has to engage and vote for their favorite. So if they vote, then it's a vote of confidence to say that we want to participate, we like this thing, So we take it as a very, audiences as a very serious stakeholder, because they do make, we do it for them as well. And as much as we're celebrating our artists, they also want to celebrate their artists as well. Yeah.
Incredible. I'm going to open it up. I saw some hands go up. We've got one here.
Hello, sorry.
Sorry.
I asked this earlier in the panel. I've been asking questions all day. Sorry, everybody. Earlier on, Zach Sputini was speaking about the process of intentionally making music for a Grammy and everything, and it was really beautiful the way he described it. But I know just from dealing with people that you guys have dealt with and spoken to, there's another process to being eligible for a Grammy and consideration and things like that. And that's something that I would love to learn more of. I should probably ask you this in private, but I think it would be cool for everyone to know that is that a long process. And before I say that, the Basadi Awards, I didn't know it was only 2 years old, because I've seen my friends share how proud they are to be nominated and how proud they are to be seen and valued. And I just wanted to say well done and thank you for doing that.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. And I think continue to ask those questions, because eligibility is a huge thing. What makes, an artist, a band eligible for such awards?
Yeah, so anybody can enter any song or any album. It has to be released in the last year. So, and there's a eligibility period. But then there's some challenges that remain, because there are 22,000 entries every year, and there's 12,000 voting members, and nobody is going to listen to 22,000 recordings. So there's two legs that a successful Grammy campaign is based on. Number one, first and most important, is the quality of the music, because that's the brief to the Grammy voting people. The brief is to vote only on quality, not on hype, not on social media, not on popularity. So the voting members are supposed to listen to the quality, and that's why we were able to beat Justin Bieber, Ed Sheeran, and Burna Boy. And because people listened to the music and they preferred our music. That's number one. So when you want to enter something with Grammy, make sure that you're exquisitely happy with every split second, and you've taken care of the creativity, you've taken care of the production, of the engineering. Everything is world class. That's number one. But unfortunately, that's not enough, because nobody's going to know about your music to vote for it, and nobody's going to accidentally come across it while listening to everything. So the second step is you have to make sure your music is heard in the US, because that's where the majority of Grammy voting members are. So that is a much more difficult challenge for us South Africans, because if you grew up in the US and you're a musician, the people around you, your peers will know about you, and your peers are voting, so you'll get some votes. But now nobody knows about you. So in our case, we had to tour heavily in the US, and many, many times, and over time built up a reputation of making quality music. And now people know about us, so when they see an entry of mine, they know to at least give it a listen and to consider it. But that's the second step. That's it's for us South Africans, much harder step. And in that line, another way to improve our chances in South Africa is to have more South African voting members. And I've been trying to encourage South African musicians to become voting members.
How do you become a voting member?
You become a voting member by applying, and all you need.
Where are the application forms?
But you need 2 recommendations. But Tulsi and I are both voting members, and we can recommend you. And you need some recent credits, so you must have some releases out, and you need to be a full-time creative. So that's basically the 2 requirements. So you need to be a full-time creative with some, if you're a musician, you need to have like a website, nice Facebook, something happening, and you have to have credits. If you're an engineer, you just have to show that you're full-time with all the credits. So it's not that difficult to become a voting member.
It's not difficult to become a voting member. It sounds a bit expensive, though, to be, because you had to tour.
I had to tour.
You had to, the quality of the music needs to sound a particular way.
Yeah, so that's a big hurdle for South Africans to
So how do we overcome that hurdle?
Well, just work night and day and save, make the money, and spend it.
Okay, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you've got a follow-up question. And
Yes. No, that is, and we, for example, we were booked in LA by the Department of Arts and Culture for an event. But then we were the only musicians. On the way to LA, you have to stop in New York. So what we did is we changed our flight a day earlier, booked a theater in New York, and performed there and invited everybody we knew. Unfortunately, there's no list of Grammy voting members. So, but you invite all people in the creative industries, and the word gets around. So we use those opportunities, and that didn't cost us anything because we were booked to go. So, and we've been encouraging the Department of Arts and Culture Sports Arts and Culture now to have these events. But you can do a lot on social media, so these days it's easier than it's been before.
Going to take your second question.
The follow-up question was more, would the same rules apply, or do you apply with Latin Grammys or African Grammys, or would it be in your estimation? And then my follow-up, my logistical question was, what sort of visa do you need so I know there's visitors visas, but I don't think you're allowed to.
No.
So what sort of visa do you apply for on a more practical level? Because people on the ground are bring out, like Amapiano's people on the ground, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so easy to, visas, like, just go apply, but what sort of visa do we need?
So for the Latin Grammys, that's a different voting membership. Those are all Latin people. So for the South African Grammys, or African Grammys, there'll be African people, and it will be much more accessible for us all. So I think there becomes a real possibility now to do well. To the visa, you need a performing visa, or like I have an O2 visa, which is a O1, O2. So the O1 is for the performer, and the O2 is for the band, but that's like a distinguished talent visa. So if you've achieved a lot, then you can apply for that visa, but it is expensive. You know, it's really a big hurdle to overcome, and we've really struggled with it, but we just have persevered over time. Yeah, but still very expensive for South Africans.
Still quite expensive.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, Oluetu Chizile from the film sector. Just a quick one, I'd love to know, and big ups to Basadi Awards, because the thing is, similar with the film sector, we all gravitate towards the Cannes Festival, right? So I would love to know, is there a mission or a plan for us as African as a whole, where we can create our own awards that is also in the same caliber as the Grammys, so that we don't stress about such expenses, stress about visas, stress about eligibility, and just have our own way. Even now, the Europeans, they also already have their eyes and attention on us as Africans. How about then we also take this energy and whatever we have and come together as Africans, as the continent as a whole, where we have the same caliber of awards that we can create on our own, and have a category for international, then they can come to us and be awarded by us and create our own awards in the same caliber, so that they can feel like, okay, cool, yes, I've achieved an African award, I came from Africa, and such, so that we can avoid the middleman or just cut the middleman.
Definitely. We've recommended that to the Department of Arts and Culture before, and there are plans like that. But now that the Grammys are coming to South Africa and to Africa, I think they work together and make it happen. There are the SAMAs, which unfortunately have we would like them to do better, and I hope they can do better this year. But the South African Music Awards, but there's, as far as I know, not the equivalent in film, which I agree with you would be beautiful to have.
I think we can take it out to the universe that the Summers are going to do well this year.
Yes. I'd like to say
Because
that
there's someone in the room that may just have some sort of influence.
I'd like to say that we have started, and I think the importance of Basadi Music, because we had a choice of making Basadi Music Awards look like a community award, where we just go to a hall and just put up screens and people, but that was never the intention, as hard as it is, because you have to raise the money, you have to, production needs to look a certain way. The reason behind all of that is that, one, when you view it, you see it as a premium award ceremony, because our ladies deserve nothing less. Let's start there. And number two, the categories, like we opened up to say now we can have Africans coming to play. The next step for us is to have Americans saying, I've been nominated in a Basadi Music Award, because the goal was never to take Basadi Music Award, to take it to America. It's for the Americans to come and participate in this space. So I'm happy that we have started, and in the next year, who knows, we might just have a category that's going to, incorporate the American stars if they're willing to play. But yeah.
I want to go to this question, but very quickly, what is the role that industry has to play in making sure, because we do have those awards, we do have the Summers, we do have the Metros, we do have long-standing award ceremonies, but there seems to be, there's a lot of buy-in that needs to take place. Our industry itself needs to believe in the award ceremonies that are here, because I do find, and this is in terms of, you can't find the Oscars and not find Samuel L. Jackson, for example. You've got to, when that camera pans, we need to have that artist, because that's what gives it the credibility. That's what gives it the legitimacy that we need. And I don't know if we ourselves are not believing in each other and ourselves to create that excellent environment where then people can buy into. Because I think a lot of times we lean back, we have that lean back, and we're not. The Summers could be if you look at what it is that they stand for, if we all stood behind them, what they could do is, so for me, and this year maybe they could have an award that recognizes somebody international.
They do. They have some African.
They actually do. I actually want Leslie to say something, but I think there's a responsibility and a homework, and I think a buy-in that we first have to do in loving what we have here, so that.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to the Salmas, because they've really supported, and it was my first award was a Salma award, and it's been incredible. It's been incredible over the years, but I think it's just a question of sheer effort, just to make those awards absolutely beautiful. And if those awards are beautifully run, excellently curated, I think the people will come, and that's basically the challenge.
Leslie, would you like to say something? And then you go for it.
So, hi, my name is Delta the Leo. I just want to speak on what Hloni has done with Basadi Music, and also to just touch on what you mentioned about the educational part of it. Basadi Music didn't just take the nominees and say, okay, here you are nominated, we're going to see you on the evening. They had an intensive workshop with all the ladies to make sure that you understand the industry you're going to. They equipped us with the tools. They had professionals in the industry that sat with us and said, preparing you for this journey is going to take a lot of work. But not only that, the brand that partnered with Hloni, Soft and Free, made sure that every lady had a package of essentials, which are things that people don't even think about as a star. When you show up, you need to, look the part. And there was also a writer's workshop. So there was quite a lot of things that usually you would experience if you go to a music school that we got for free. So thank you for that.
That's incredible. Leslie, and then we have that last gentleman.
I just wanted to say also that for us, even with the 2 Grammys, winning a South African Music Award for us Wouter, it's like, it's so powerful. I mean, that's more for us to be recognized in our country. So that's really powerful for us.
Tulsi, thank you so much. What a beautiful compliment to pay. So I do wear, my other cap that I wear is that I'm the spokesperson of the South African Music Awards, the SAMA, and I love this conversation, Sis Lala. You're driving it beautifully well, and congratulations to Hloni and the amazing work that she does. I don't know if she touched on funding, because I did step out for a while. That's another conversation altogether, and I wish that it comes into the picture. It is not easy.
Yeah.
And congratulations to you, Wouter, being our ambassador, really, bringing all these Grammys. We wish you more Grammys. I just want to go back to funding. A lot of people keep asking, when are the summers coming? Are the summers going to be bigger this year? Who's going to perform? Where is the money? The actual reason why we don't, I hope the records, well, maybe the records are on and I'm being recorded, but this is the truth that has to be spoken, that there is just no money.
Yeah.
Putting together an awards show is equivalent to a suicide attempt, because it can go any way. I tell you the truth. The reason why the summers took this long to even announce that we're making an announcement in a week's time. So yes, good news are coming.
Yes.
The summers are happening this year. We're going to another province, not the Northwest, not Sun City, but another province. I'm not going to say. But I like what you said about, are we supporting the industry? Is there willingness to give them credibility? But most importantly, is there willingness to invest in it? Practical, actual money. The summer's budget, if you don't know, guys, is 20 million rands. Yeah. If you want to put on a decent show with everyone catered for, accommodation, top-notch performances, production, we need 20 million rand. And to whisper in your ear, to give you a secret, last year we had to work with 5 million rand out of a budget of 20 million rand. The figures are huge. And if the industry does not support us, if government does not come to play, we end up with a situation where we can put on a summer show, but it probably might be a virtual show. And you can imagine the backlash that you're going to get. Like, why? Because the impression that people have about the summers is that sponsors are lining outside. And it's so easy. We knock on the door of whatever brand and ask for money, and they'll sign a check for 10 million rand. It's not like that. It is a huge challenge, and I'm going to ask you, people who are here, to wish us well. I mean, to be kind, to be kind. But thank goodness that we have an announcement coming in a week's time. So but I mean, we've got role models. Believe it or not, we've got role models in people like Hloni. Her entrepreneurial spirit, her chutzpah. I mean, she woke up and said, I'm going to have an awards show. And she's right, she had nothing. She had no money. And what she's not telling you right now is that she's still not making money right now. She's going to Basadi third year, or Basadi year 3, still with the hope that things will work out. So it's her passion, it's her dedication to the arts, and her love for the industry that keeps her going. It's not money. She's not making money. She's not a millionaire yet, maybe.
I'd like to add on to. You see why he's my friend?
Yeah. Please go to the gentleman and then we'll come
You see
here.
why he's my friend? We don't speak, and this is why I want to be on platforms like this, because I want to tell the truth. Because when people view from social media posts and whatever, it looks amazing. Because we made sure that it happens from literally nothing. Like nothing. And the reality is that you have a dream and then they say to you, do it first, so that we can see that you're not going to depend on us. Okay, do it first with what? Okay, we did it. We did it the first time. I ended up in a hospital because of the stress levels were insane. That's what happened to me last year. But I came back this year. And the team was like, are we doing it again? And I said, yes. And people last year, they said, oh, we saw you did it. Oh, now we're going to support you with the second one. They didn't. It was only a fraction. And we had a choice to say, we're not doing it anymore, or what are we going to do? And we did it. But the reality of it is that he knows. I was sitting with him, was it 2 weeks ago? Stressed out of my mind, because how the heck are we going to pay for the suppliers? How are we going to pay for the suppliers? Because it needs to happen, but we do need the financial support. We do need government to say, we can see this thing is happening, because they did say, will it happen? It happened.
Yeah, and I think, Hloni, look, we were given an hour.
Yeah.
Riggs and Leslie
And Leslie took
20 minutes of that hour. So essentially, folks, we're having a conversation, but it's at the tip of it. And these conversations are so multi-layered, they are so complex. And we need to keep speaking about it, and we need to be intentional about it, because the funding component is so huge. For me, at the heart of it is that the creative industry has been seen from a government perspective as in a social cluster environment and not an economic driver. And so forever and a day, our budgets are going to be limited. We've got to beg, borrow, steal, and end up in hospital for something to take place. And so the real conversations that need to take place is, how do we shift this industry, the creative industry, that has the capacity to build jobs, that data shows that, the Outlook study that was done by PwC gives you that Outlook media study. It was the 2018 to 2022, so they're busy with a new one. The stats there are scary in terms of what our industries are able to do versus the money and, the mere fact that you need to travel and to have shows in New York already is a barrier for many, many artists. And so already the playing fields are not equal. And so already there's an imbalance in terms of what is capable and what we can do. So I think these conversations need to continue. I was inspired this morning at a Women in Entertainment breakfast. I was emceeing, apparently I did well. But one of the speakers there said that it is time for directives. No longer will we speak about recommendations, and no longer will we have suggestions, but actually as an industry we need to move towards directives. What are we going to do and what should be done? And I think we're at that point where no longer can we sit around another panel, no more breakfasts, us having a conversation and saying, I see you, which is what I was saying this morning. It's important for us to see ourselves and to see each other. But what is the real work? And I think these kind of, RX, we must thank them. These kind of events assist us in getting, these networks, so that when I see you then next time, I'm able to say, how did that go? How do I support you? What do we do? But I do think we need to be robust in terms of how are we shifting the needle and shaping these conversations so that it's now about the action. I'm going to give the gentleman the closing one. That was my closing, but I shall give it to him to close. Please ask your question.
Yeah. I just want to answer what you just said just now. For the 2 awards, the South African Music Awards, Hloni, for you too, there's a new minister. I think you guys should just force a meeting together jointly and say that they need to support the South African arts. So you guys should take your own initiative, and just force this meeting, because he's new. I don't know what he understands and what he doesn't understand. So I think you guys should do that. I can help you guys.
Well,
we'll wait for your email to help them.
Well, I'm just saying is that it's not that it
Thank
hasn't
you
been
very
done
much.
before we have.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I hope you're well. My name is KD Summers. I'm an Afrobeats and fusion artist from Zimbabwe. And I just want to congratulate Basadi Women Awards for what they do, and for you for the Grammy. I think that's it's very inspiring. And I just want to contribute to the whole submission issue with the cost and stuff. I I recently worked with a few friends in the US. Okay, we did a song, and just this past weekend, it's been submitted for Grammy consideration.
Wow.
Okay, but I didn't tour or any of that. So
Must we help him tweet? All of us in this room can tweet. What must we
but
do?
then but my point is sometimes it's all about collaboration, okay, with different people from outside. And that being said, the scope of music is changing. There's a lot of independence coming in and all this. And for you, for example, your Grammy came in at a later stage in your career. And I just wanted to ask, what advice would you give to maybe upcoming artists that want to reach to that spot and the journey that's involved in all that? Thank you very much.
Yeah, actually now it's the easiest it's ever been. It's not. Oh, wow. It's very hard, but with social media, you can connect with anybody you want in the US. So yes, in our case we had to tour, but in your case, if you can reach out to US musicians, because any US musician or engineer or producer might be a voting member, and if you can make sure they've heard your music, and also if you use social media to get your music out there and get it heard, and it's just an insane amount of work, a lot of connecting through the night. I mean, we do months on end of 16-hour days, and you can do it on Facebook, on Instagram, and you could connect to all these musicians all over the world. So I think it becomes more practical now, but it's just still a tall order, because you can't just be a musician. As a musician, my advice to young musicians is the same to me, to myself. You can't just be a musician. You have to take responsibility for your music business. So you have to be involved. I do my own editing. I do my own engineering sometimes. If I have a show, if the sound equipment is not good, I'll get it changed. We did a concert last week for the 4 presidents, 9 people in the room, the 4 presidents of China, India, Brazil, and South Africa, and their foreign ministers. And when we got to the sound check, the sound system was not good enough, and so we had it changed. So as a musician, you can't say, well, that's the engineer's job. You have to take responsibility and say, I'm not happy with this, because the people listening will not know it was the engineer that messed up. They'll think it's you that don't sound good. Yeah. So you have to make sure that how the audience experiences you is good. So the whole thing, the booking, the engineering, the social media, the promotion, the marketing, and it just becomes an impossible amount of work, but it's not impossible.
I like that. I like that a lot. And may I take that as your closing comment?
So, my closing comment. I have a lot to say.
You may need to keep it
just a little
short.
I think, I don't know, I want people to see this video, man.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
you
Pule,
did have a video.
That
Pule,
one.
can you do right by us?
And the reason why I want to...
Women have always played an important role in music. Through the sharing of their stories, the climbing of charts, and the breaking of records.
My records, for instance, have been banned since 1962. Even though they are banned, but there are some people who still sing them somehow.
Through the transformation of genres and the fight against injustice, women have kept our feet tapping to the beat through the decades. Today, we celebrate the formidable women in music. Those who have fallen after writing history, and those who are changing history with their crafts today. We celebrate the Kandi Classens, fearless, courageous, indestructible, soaring above injustice and flowing over challenges.
People say things, man. They say things and I ignore them. They say things and I ignore them. They say things and I don't ignore them.
We acknowledge the Madonnas of the townships, the drama queens and the black butterflies, the Brenda Fassis, the Lebo Matosas and the TK Mhingas. Audacious, feisty, and never afraid to speak their minds. We are honored to acknowledge women who have stayed true to who they are, who have honored their work and displayed humility and resilience. Today, we honor Basadi in music.
And I
That's my
really wanted to congratulate Basadi Music Awards because they were quite, and I liked that spirit, if I may use the word, intentional and very pushy. They sent me a couple of emails, my other job that I do, 8 to 5, as head of content at SABC. And I'm very proud to say that we licensed the Basadi Awards this year. So there'll be some sort of money that comes in. But for me, it was that in terms of what it stood for, what it wants to do. And sometimes in our mandate, we have to look at, what had they done before that qualifies them to, and it's about those opportunities. How do we create opportunities for each other, for ourselves, and so forth. So
Thank you.
we wish you lots of luck. Everyone, we're going to end it there. It's been an incredible conversation. Thank you very much for your generosity. Thank you for all the questions and the comments. It's been such a pleasure and such an honor. We have learned so much. We come out changed human beings.